Hello student, myself Professor Ushali Tapde from ICEEM Engineering College. Today we will discuss about what is a abstract data type. In this video we will see what is a data abstraction. After that we discuss about what is a abstract data type. Then we discuss about how to write the abstract data type for a particular data structure. What is the syntax for writing the abstract data type. Then we will discuss about the different example how to write the data ADT for the different data structure. Now in last video uh, we understood about what is the data, what are the different data types, what is the data structure, what are the types of data structure, what are the different types of data structure. So I think you have all of you know about what is a data, and once we have collected the data, once we have a data with us, the next thing comes in a mind is that what type of operations we can perform on that data. That means if I have a student data with me, I have a student record with me, then next thing is that what are the different operations I can perform on that data. For example, I can add the data to the new student data in that existing list. I can delete some student data from that existing list. Then I can search for a particular student in the given list. Then next thing, next type of operations which we can perform on that data is we can sort the student record either in a ascending or descending order. We can completely delete the whole record of the student and newly form the list. In this way, once we have a data with us, we can perform different operations on that data. That means typically the operations, this is just an example of the student record. You can have any type of data with you, and once you have collected the data regarding the problem statement, the next thing is which you have to consider is that which type of operations we can perform on that data. You can add, you can delete, you can search, you can sort. The different types of operations are you can performing on that data. Now before knowing what is the abstract data type, first we have to understood what is the data abstraction. Data abstraction is a process in which it will gives you the essential details about your data instead of giving you the background details. Now what do you mean by it gives us the essential details? It is not giving us the background details. Essential details means it will show you, once you have a data, then data abstraction told you which type of operations you can perform on that data or what you can do with that data. That means whether you want to add some new items, whether you want to search, whether you want to sort, what you can do with that data instead of thinking how you can do it. That means which type of software you are using for implementing that. As I said, if I have a student record, so I can perform different operation like insertion, deletion. I can display the student record, I can search for a particular student. But here I am just thinking about which operation, I am just listing about which operations I can perform on that data instead of thinking these are the operations in which language I am performing this operation. I am not thinking about that, whether I am implementing these operations in a C programming or in a C++ or in a Java or in a, we can say DBMS. I am not thinking about this. All the implementing means we are performing the program on that data. Here I am just listing the operation, and that is nothing but a data abstraction. It just give the abstract view. That is what you can do with that data independently of how you can do it. Not thinking about how to implement it. Just we have to think about what we can do with the data. So the abstract data type, it is composed of a collection of data and set of operations on the data. So abstract data type is nothing but a collection of data whatever you have in your hand, and then the specification of the functions on that data. It gives you the way to specify the different types of functions which you want to perform on that data, and that is nothing but your abstract data type. Now this is the syntax for writing abstract data type for a particular data structure. Now how to write the abstract data type? Abstract data type consists of three parts. In the first part we have to use the keyword ADT, that is abstract data type. We need to use the keyword ADT and then name of your topic. For example, if I want to write ADT for the array, then what I say? ADT array is. This is my first part. ADT array is name of that topic for which you want to write the ADT. In the second part there is a object specify. In the object part you have to give the description about your topic or description about your problem. Here you can give the description about the array. If you take the example of the array, in the object part you have to give the description about the array. Here you can specify the definition of the array also. Okay, array is nothing but a collection of homogeneous element. In this way you can specify the description about your array in a object part. Next thing or third part of writing the ADT is nothing but a function. It consists of a function. We have a data with us, that means we have an array which is maybe the integer array, which may be the character array, which is the collection of a data. Now we have a data in our hand. So in a function part we have to list out the different functions which we can perform on that topic or on that data which we are specifying in the first part, that is the ADT and the topic name. So on that topic which type of operations we can perform, that should be listed under the function section. So ADT consists of three parts. In the first part we need to write ADT and then topic name. In the object part we need to give the description about that topic, and then in the function part we need to specify the different functions which we can perform on that topic. So in this way we have to write the ADT for particular data structure. Now here I am showing you the graphical view how the abstract data type forms an wall between the program and between the data structure. Now abstract data type is it is a midway between your data structure and program. Once you have a data, then before implementing that you are listing different operations, which type of operation you want to perform, and then you are going to the implementation stage. So in this way the abstract data types, it will forms a wall or it is a mediator between the program and data structure. It will help you to write a program in a easiest manner, because you have a data, you thinking about which type of operations you are performing, you are writing the logic for that, and after that the only part remains is that writing the program. Once you have all things in your hand, it is easy for you to write the program with the help of abstract data types. Now if I have a data list, means I have a collection of data. So in that data list, except for the first and last atom, each atom has a unique predecessor and unique successor. You need to understand this statement. What I said, in the list of atoms, whatever the data list I have, in that data list the first atom does not have any predecessor node and the last atom does not have any successor node. Now what is this predecessor value or node and what is this successor value? Now predecessor means we don't have any previous value and successor means we don't have any next value. So in the list, but obviously the first atom don't have any previous value, that means the first node or we can say the first value do not have any predecessor value. Similarly in the list, the last atom, after the last atom we don't have any other value, so we can say that the last atom don't have any successor node. In the data list, each atom is referenced by their position within the list. What do you mean by this? If we have a student record, then how we will identify a particular student? With the help of their roll number. Suppose I want to search a particular detail about the student, I will just search by their roll number. So each atom is referenced in the list with the help of their position. Now, specification of the operations in the ADT is nothing but defining or giving the just short logic about that operations which are performing on that data without giving the knowledge of the implementation details. That means how you are implementing it with the help of which software. So, ADT operations used in an applications without the knowledge of the operations will be implemented. Now, once here continuously I am saying you how to write the ADT, or we can perform this type of operation on the data. But once we have a data, then which type of operation, just here I am giving you a basic idea. Now this such a type of operations you can perform on any type of data which you have with you. So these are the list of operation for which you can write the ADT for the particular data structure. First operations which you can perform, that is create an empty list. Why there is a need to create an empty list? Obviously when we want to create a list, the first thing is that you have to create an empty list. For example, if I want to create an array of 5 elements, what you are doing, you are saying integer a of 5. That means you are just creating an empty array which holds the 5 value. Which type of value? Numerical value. That means you are creating an empty array. So which operations you are performing on the array? The very first operation is that you are creating an empty array, that is creating an empty list. Now the next operation you can think about which operations you can perform next. You can add one by one atom inside your list, or you can say in an array. This is the next operations you can consider. Then the next operation, you can delete the item from your array, right? The next thing regarding you can next operations which you can perform on your list is that you can calculate the number of items in your list, right? Then you have to check if you are deleting the items from your list. Then next operation you can think about, you have to check whether your list is empty or not. This may be the one type of operation to checking that whether my list is totally empty or it contains some item. Next operation we can think about the list of data, that is about the searching. We can search a particular data on the given in the given list. Then we can perform the sorting operation. That means we can sort the data, our data, in a particular manner, either in a ascending or in a descending operation. Then we can delete the data from particular position. Also we can insert the data at a particular position, not in a first or not in a last position. Instead of that, whatever the user say, if user want to add the element in third position, then we can perform that operation also. So this type of operation you need to think while writing the ADT on the data you hold. Here I am giving the short description about how to write or which type of operations I am considering while sorting the list and for writing the ADT for that. If I want to sort the list of items, then for writing the ADT I need to consider the different type of operation. The first operation I think about that we need to sort the data items, and once we sorted the data items, then we need to next operation which we need to think is that if we are inserting the values in our sorted list, then we are inserting that the atom by their values, not by their position. Understood? Once you have sorted the data, you need to insert the next data item by their values. So your list should be the sorted manner after inserting the new item also, because you are inserting the new item with the help of their values, not by their position, whatever the position it has before. But once you have sorted the data, its position get changes. So whenever you add the new item inside the sorted data, so you have to consider the value of that data instead of their position. Similarly, you can delete the data from your sorted list also. So different operations you can think while sorting the list. So questions that are need to ask while writing the ADT is that if someone gives you the problem statement and he asks you to write the ADT for that, the very first thing you have to consider that after understanding that problem statement is that which type of data is required for that problem. that problem require which type of data. And once you have collected that data for solving that problem, next thing you have to list out different types of operations which you can perform on that data. So while designing the ADT, you have to consider these two things. First, which type of data required by your problem statement, and second thing is that list of operations which you are performing on the data for solving that problem. You can choose the different data structure for representing the ADT on your data. You can implement that data structure with the help of ADT. That means you have give the only essential details without giving the background details. Here I am showing you an example of array based list. That means how to write ADT for the array. As I told you, for writing ADT, it consists of three parts. In the first part, you can say ADT, for which you are writing ADT, editing topic name. In the second part, you have to give the description about that topic, that is the object part. And in the third part, that is a function, in which you have to list out different functions you are performing on the on that topic. Now we are writing ADT of a array. So here ADT, we are writing ADT for the array. So in first part we are writing ADT, this keyword ADT, and array is. What is our topic name? Array. So what we are saying? ADT array is. In the object part, I am writing here array is nothing but a set of pairs which consist of index and value, where for each value of index there is a value from the set of atoms. Now here you can instead of this you can give the definition of array also. You can say array is nothing but a collection of homogeneous element. Okay, so index is a finite order set of one or more dimension. Here you can simply say that array may be of one dimensional, it may be of two dimensional, or it may be the multi-dimensional array, and you can give the example. All this description should be involved in the object section. Next thing, in the function. Now in function, here first I am listing some variable, that is a short form for each variable. In a maths, you are while solving the problem in a math, what you are doing, you are first considering writing the assumption part. Now this thing is assumed for this is assumed for this. Similarly here I am giving the shorthand for each and every thing which we are using in our function. That is A for the array, I is nothing but an index, x is nothing but an atom. In this way I am first line in the function, whatever the variable I am using inside my function, I am giving their description. That is for all A belongs to array. Whenever I write A inside my function, A is nothing but an array name, I belongs to index, x belongs to atom, j belongs to the size of array, whereas e belongs to the integer value. The very first function which we are writing on the array is that we are creating an array, that is the initializing an array. You can say integer a of 5 in a programming statement. What you are saying? Integer a of 5. That means you are creating an empty array. So first operations or first function which you need to perform on the array is array creation, which return an array of j dimension where list of j tuples whose element is the size of the jth dimension. Next thing, next operations you can perform on the array is array retrieve, atom retrieve, atom retrieve. That means you can retrieve the particular atom from your array. You can access the particular atom from the array if that atom is present in your array, otherwise it will give you the error. So for retrieving, for writing the retrieve function, here I am explaining that if I belongs to the index, suppose my array consists 5 elements and I want to retrieve the 6th element, whether it is possible to retrieve that element from the array? Obviously no, it is not possible, because my array hold only the 5 values, so I cannot retrieve the 6th value. So for that I am writing the logic here. If I belongs to index, that means if I belongs to within that size of my array, then it returns the atom associated with the index value in an array. If I does not belongs to the size of my array, then it will return the error. So this is about the retrieve function of the array. Next thing is that array store. The next function which we can perform on the array is the array store. That means we can store the different value in the our empty array. We can you can say array store, that is the addition. We can add one by one atom inside our array by taking the values from the user on a particular position. And at the end of ADT you can say end and name of your topic. Here my array is get ended, so I am saying end of array. Now next example which I am showing you here is about how to write ADT for polynomial. In this video I show you 3 examples, and next onwards you have to write after each topic for the data structure. When we covered about the stack, when we covered about the queue, then you need to write the ADT for the stack, ADT for the queue, once you understood about the ADT. So here I am showing you 3 examples. In the first example I show you about how to write the ADT on an array. Now the next thing, how to write ADT for the polynomial. While writing ADT on the polynomial, first we have to know that which type of operations we can perform on the polynomial. First we need to list out that operation and then start writing the ADT. In the ADT again we are saying with the help of ADT keyword, that is the ADT polynomial is, because we are writing ADT for the polynomial. In the objects part we are giving the description about the polynomial, which is a set of order pairs of exponential and coefficient value. So in the object section we are giving the description about the polynomial or definition about the polynomial. In the function part we are again giving the shortened name for each and every variable which we are using inside our function. So which are the different function you can perform on the polynomial? You can perform polynomial 0, that is you can check whether your polynomial is 0, and if yes it will return the value 0. You can check boolean function whether it is 0 or not, polynomial is value is 0 or not. This is boolean function you can perform which give you either true or false value. Then you can perform the next function that returning the coefficient value of your polynomial. So if the your polynomial have some exponent value, then it will return its coefficient, otherwise it return the 0. Then you can perform addition of 2 polynomials. You can perform multiplication of 2 polynomials. In this way you can write the different operations on the polynomial. So we need, while writing the ADT, first we need to list out the different operations which we can perform on that topic. And at the end of this ADT, again I am saying end of polynomial. So in this way we can write ADT on a polynomial. Now the next thing about the natural number, we are writing the ADT on the natural number. Again we are saying ADT for natural number, or you can say ADT natural number is. This is the first part. ADT topic name is, that is the ADT natural number is. In the object part you can give the description about the natural number, which is an order subrange of the integers starting at 0 and ending at the maximum integer on the computer. So what are the different functions which can perform on the natural number? They are listed one by one in the under the function section. First operation we can perform on the natural number is, we check whether that natural number is 0. If yes, then it will return 0. Then we check whether our natural numbers are equal, two natural numbers are equal. If they are equal we return true, if they are not equal we return false. So this is a boolean function. Boolean function means which return value either 0 or 1, true or false. So we check whether two natural numbers are equal or not. Then we check whether our natural number have any successor node. Similarly we can add two natural numbers, like we can add two digits, we can subtract 2 digits, we can multiply. In this way different operations you can write down in the ADT. And at the end of the ADT you can say end of natural number. So at the end we will see just in a short a summary about the abstract data type. Data abstraction is process which gives you only the essential details by hiding the background details. So data abstraction controls the interaction between a program as well as its data structure. ADT is a set of data management operations together with the data values upon which these functions can be operate, and ADT should be fully defined before implementation decision. So in this video we know about what is a data abstraction, what is a ADT, how to write an ADT, and different examples of ADT. I hope you will be understood betterly what is the abstract data type and how to write abstract data type for a particular data structure. Thank you.